Aloha and welcome to the Embodied Healing Self Podcast with your host, Jen Mons. Each week, join me for soul-inspired, conscious conversations around embodied healing and awakening to your soul's purpose. Thank you for listening in. Aloha, podcast family. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Embodied Healing Self, episode 100. Whoop, whoop. It has been such a joy and a pleasure to be in this space with you. I just passed the 2-year mark. I've had extraordinary speakers on the show and so much amazing feedback and so many downloaded episodes. I'm super excited. When I started this journey, it was all about creating a platform for conscious conversations around the embodied healing self. And what that has led us to is just so many amazing conversations, everything from intuition to body wisdom to breath work to integrative wellness to spiritual growth to energy work to animal healing to intuitive parenting to conscious feminine leadership, all the things. So thank you for still being a part of this community. And today we're going to dive into what is your extraordinary. So when people ask me what I do, I am a life purpose coach and energy intuitive, a mentor for coaches, healers, and conscious feminine leaders. And I'm also the CEO and founder of the Embodied Soul Coaching Academy, where we learn and understand the principles of life coaching, energy work, the energy body, intuition, somatic practices, body wisdom. And this is also the invitation to do some inner work where the inner work creates the outer results. We go deep into a personal and professional transformation for sustainable results, from passion and purpose to full-blown prosperity through the business alchemy course. And so I get to see, alongside with my support coaches, the extraordinary in the individuals in this program being revealed. But here's the thing, it's always there. It's just the willingness to look at it as the extraordinary part of you. So what does this even mean? What does it even mean to wonder what your extraordinary is? Well, today I am going to share with you how we can navigate revealing the extraordinary within each of us, what it looks like, what it means for us, how we get to live, how people doing extraordinary things are living their life, and ways that we can just live simply day by day and see the miracles in life. Albert Einstein said there are 2 ways to live your life: to look as if everything is a miracle or to look as if nothing's a miracle. So the good news is we get to choose. And let's start out by just sitting with curiosity in what it would mean for you as the listener of this show to live an extraordinary life. So I just invite you to take a deep breath. So if living an extraordinary life means living to your potential, living life on your terms, living in what is in alignment with you, what matters most, and having the confidence and the courage to do it, and choosing every day to look as if everything is there for you and everything is a miracle. That's my definition. I don't know what the dictionary definition is. My definition is that the person who fully and wholly shows up, embodies their truth, believes in their limitless potential, lives on their terms, in their values, in their God-given birthright and mission, has the confidence to turn those beliefs into action and show up every day? What would that look like for you? How would you feel if you chose that? What are the ways that you can choose to see your life today for what is extraordinary for you? How can you reveal your extraordinary? What does that look like? Here's one way to start. Start being curious about how you're showing up in the world. Right? There's like the way that we think we're showing up, and then there's the way that we are received. So this just came to my mind. Have you ever maybe been on video doing something and you felt really good doing it? And then when you watch the video, you're like, oh, I felt much better than I actually look. Like, you know how we judge ourselves. We do this. I do this with surfing. So my whole family is a bunch of surfers. And, when I'm out there, I'm like, if I happen to get on video, because my husband's always videoing my daughter because she's like amazing. And then I look at it, I'm like, oh man, I felt like way cooler, right? In my mind. So what if we just gave ourselves permission to just be like we were when we were younger, in that space of like everything is a miracle and we have so much to be grateful for? So the ways that we can see the extraordinary in our daily life is by looking around at what we are grateful for, what we already have, what we already are. Stop comparison. Comparison is the thief of joy. Letting go of expectations and attachments. Creating sacred space in your home, in relationships, in your calendar. Energy alignment and energy management. There's a couple of podcast episodes on that. That's really where we start to create the foundation, creating the sacred space to even identify what matters most to us. If revealing our extraordinary is all about connecting to our core values and our mission statement, which I like to call our soul devotion statement, what we're here to experience in this life. I don't like to say do, because it's really more about the experience. We do that by slowing down. Journaling is a great invitation for this. Connecting with others and allowing yourself to notice the reflection, the soul-seeing reflection that others reflect back to you. If everything is a relationship. And then true extraordinary, revealing that, is then choosing from that place aligned action. So a really nice way that we do this in our North Star Collective is we start by inviting the students in the course to ask 5 of our closest friends 5 words to describe our best qualities, characteristics, and strengths. So I invite you to do this. Start noticing what your natural, physical, and spiritual gifts and talents are. And do this by asking the people that support you, asking people in your space, what do you think of me? What quality of mine comes first? What stands out to you about me? And then asking these loved ones that you are entrusting in this, also inviting them to notice what limiting beliefs or habits or attitudes or feelings that you express that might be holding you back. And a third question would be noticing, what would I be able to accomplish if I stopped doing these things? And so being curious about how you are received or perceived by the people that you love, because a lot of times, as I started out with the surfing video, the way that we think we show up isn't always the way that we are being received. So that's one tool that's super helpful. And then taking this list and reflecting on these words and just noticing which ones are common between the 5 people. And it's nice to choose a person from different areas of your life, maybe college or childhood or work or family, and just kind of notice how maybe you show up differently in the different areas of your life, or maybe you don't. Maybe you show up the same all the time. But noticing how you're being received. And then I invite you to take a moment and reflect on all the traits, the skills, the abilities that you have trained in or experienced in your life. Because everything that you have done, experienced, it mattered. It matters. It's what brought you to this moment today. So being curious, like what purpose did that experience serve? What did I learn from that? Maybe you're in career transition. Maybe you've had a marriage transition, right? And just really getting clear on all of the experiences that have brought you here and reflecting back on all of the things throughout your life, starting from early childhood, that you have done well or that you remember experiencing. Every sports team you played on, every club you were in, every place you traveled, every relationship. Start noticing the skills and traits and abilities that you held throughout your life. Were you a captain? Were you a co-captain? Were you a teammate? And just reflecting on the role that you played in different relationships, in your family, on a team, at school, in a job, in a marriage. And remembering kind of what are the things that people have always seen in you? What are the things that came naturally to you? And then make a list of all the professional things, the certifications, the training that you've done. Because all those things matter too. And if you're a recovering overachiever like me, you have a long list. I mean, I was once certified to be a firefighter. And from my merchant marine days, an engineer, a performance engineer, and a vibrational engineer. And now I clearly understand that I work in the world of energy. And so everything is a vibration. And really just having that scientific foundation of understanding things that aren't tangible. What does firefighting have to do with what I'm doing? I used to navigate by the stars, celestial navigation, like legit out in the middle of the ocean. Guess what my collective is? North Star Collective. The North Star never moves. It's always a guiding light. And so coming full circle to just remembering how that North Star can really identify your position anywhere on the planet. We can actually, through a mathematical equation, without GPS, using the stars, find our place on this planet. What does that even mean? It means the stars are there to lead us, to guide us, and the North Star never moves. So all of it, everything you've done matters. So list all your certifications, list all your training, list all your experiences, list your college, your high school, your middle school, your jobs. What skills do you have? Computer skills, people skills, chef skills, athletic skills. And just take a really good inventory. This could be pages long, of the qualities and traits and characteristics, the certifications, the trainings, the reflection of the words that people reflected back to you that they see in you, and write them on a piece of paper. And ask yourself this question. I invite you to do the Dream Life meditation that was on my podcast. I can't remember the number, but I remember January of 2020, the very first episode, Dream Life meditation, to help you get clear on this question. If you could be anyone or anything in the world, what would it be? So this is an invitation to journal. If I could be anyone or anything in the world, what would that be? How can I use my gifts and talents and my values to show up in the world? So going back to values, because I didn't invite you to explore your values if you haven't already. If you don't know what those are, getting super clear on what your core values are. So the things that really light you up in the world, that you're a stand for, that at the end of your life you want people to remember you by. And then start integrating those, your gifts, your talents, your characteristics, your traits, your values. How can you use those to show up in the world? What are you naturally good at? What brings you joy? What excites you? And just be curious. What would that look like? What do you stand for in the world? What is your personal mission? What are your values? What gifts can you bring into the world to the people entrusted to you in your life? What service to humanity are you committed to? And because you all know that I love to integrate the shadow work, meaning the subconscious imprinting that shows up, as we start to journal on this, we might notice resistance, survivor strategies, limiting beliefs that show up. As we start to give ourselves permission to journal about what we want most, we might notice beliefs that come up. Am I worthy of this? Is this possible? I have to work hard to have this. And so if you haven't done any work around your own limiting beliefs, then I invite you to be curious about that. I did a podcast around the 5 core limiting beliefs that show up recently. I think it was around 92, maybe, episode somewhere around there. I invite you to listen to that podcast episode. Notice where your limiting beliefs show up. So that was actually episode 91, top 5 self-limiting beliefs. And then start to ask yourself, if you know your self-limiting belief, how will you know if you're contracting into that limiting belief or behavior patterns? And just kind of think for a moment, like, what did my friends reflect back to me, my colleagues, that they notice that they see in me? So how will you know? How will you catch yourself when you're contracting into that? Because when we really give ourselves permission to be extraordinary, the difference between the person who allows themselves to live an extraordinary life and the person who doesn't is the person who has the confidence to do it. The person who's not afraid to fail, who's not afraid to take their thoughts, their dreams, and put them into action. The person who takes self-responsibility, radical self-responsibility for how they show up. The person who is ready to support others and ready to receive support and give support. A person who loves life, genuinely loves life. A person who's compassionate. The person who chooses trust. The person who believes in abundance or is curious about it. The person who feels connected, who realizes the expansiveness of this human experience. That is a person who is on their path to living in their own extraordinary gifts. And remember, extraordinary is different for everyone, but each individual has this. What is unique to you? What are you good at? What do you enjoy? Do you enjoy money? Do you enjoy relationships? Do you enjoy food? Do you enjoy adventure? Do you enjoy connection? What is it that you enjoy? Think about what you enjoy as it relates to all of your past experiences and notice what comes up. Notice the survivor strategies that come up and just get clear on it. The difference is the person willing to look at these survivor strategies and still take aligned action, not stay in the story. And then ask yourself, what are you willing to release to move forward, to have the confidence I talked about earlier, to live in what matters most to you? What are you willing to release? And this is the part that I invite you to maybe write a letter to yourself. What are you willing to release? Because we are so comfortable trapped in our story because it's safe, it feels good, it's comfortable, that in order to step out of that and really live in the extraordinarily uniqueness, to be the you-iest you that you can be, we have to be willing to release and let go of what isn't serving us. And that can be frightening sometimes. So the question becomes, when are you going to be willing to let go? What does it say about you if you let go, if you release this? What does it say about you if you don't? Because if you don't, you'll just be trapped where you are. And then choosing to release that, understanding and knowing that it may continue to show up, but you've at least thought about ahead of time, how will I navigate this when this shows up for me? The people I love have reflected back to me how I show up. Maybe you have an accountability partner. Maybe you know your own contractions, your own limiting behaviors. But how am I going to respond in that moment? Because it probably will come up again. It's a practice of peeling the layers. And then moving into that aligned action of what gifts can I bring into the world? I've been talking a lot about conscious feminine leadership lately. It's been really interesting. We've been talking about this idea of one of the quotes that somebody pointed out that I said that they really appreciated is oftentimes the thing that we didn't receive becomes the thing that we're seeking, which is the thing that we already are. So I use the example of if you were a child who didn't get physical touch or love or affection from your mother. Maybe you chose to become a mother overly affectionate. Sometimes that can happen too, or you didn't get attention, so you became a mother who's overly giving attention or overly giving love, only to realize that you've always been the love that you didn't get and that you're seeking. The difference is the perception, the belief in the story, the perception created around the experience. These stories in our head are what keep us stuck, suffering, in lack, and from living the extraordinary life that is meant for each of us. Living life on our terms. I don't know what your definition of extraordinary is. I'd like to hear from you. I want to invite you to ask yourself, what is my definition of extraordinary? Because the extraordinary is just you being you on your terms, in your truth, not trying to be somebody else, not trying to live somebody else's mission statement, living your truth. But what I find is most of us haven't given ourselves permission to slow down to actually identify what that is. So getting clear on what is your self-devotion, your soul devotion statement? What do you stand for in the world? And what is your intention moving forward? What is one small action step you can take in this moment towards that intention? What is one small action you can take? And then asking yourself what action, if taken today and completed to the best of my ability, will allow me to feel gratitude for this experience. Just a tiny step. So I'd love to hear from you because everybody's different. It's part of what I love to do, and what I love to do in life coaching is witnessing all of these beautiful people coming forward and just sharing their experiences and watching it unfold into their gift. All of their experiences, the challenging ones, the easy ones, the things that they enjoy, and just allowing your gifts and talents to be revealed, to step into your extraordinary. It's one of my favorite things about being a coach is just the witnessing of that. And so for those of you listening, if you don't have that support, you don't have that circle, take some time to journal around the questions that I asked today. Give yourself permission to feel into what makes you unique. What do you love to do? Everybody's different. And giving yourself permission to intimately see into your soul, your mission. And then allow yourself to be seen and witnessed by others in that. It doesn't mean you have to change your job. It doesn't mean you have to change anything in your life except the way that you're looking at life. Remember, to come full circle, I started out the podcast by saying Albert Einstein quoted, "There are two ways to experience life. One is by looking as if nothing were a miracle, and the other one is by seeing that everything is a miracle." And that's just true with everything. There's two ways to look at everything, and it's all actually the same thing. So the difference is, how will you choose? Thank you for joining me. I hope that I've given you some insight, some inspiration to be curious, no matter what stage of life you're at. I've had people reach out to me age 60, 65, ready to just discover and reveal what it is that lights them up and makes them happy. They've realized they've been in something for 30 years they didn't like, and now they're ready. It's never too late. Maybe you start ballroom dancing at 90. I don't know. I find that most people don't regret what they try, and you never know if you try. But if you don't give yourself permission to explore, you'll never know. You might be missing out on the expansiveness of you, and also not giving the people in your life the opportunity to witness you as you truly are, which is such a gift. One of the greatest gifts I think that we can give each other is seeing into basically our heart and soul. Total transparency, total vulnerability, without judgments, attachments, being seen in our gifts, in our light, and in our challenges and our struggles. And as many of you know, my most favorite poem by Marianne Williamson, Our Deepest Fear, says that our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate, but that we are powerful beyond measure. So I invite you, as we close this podcast episode, to ask yourself, what is your extraordinary? What makes me extraordinary? And look at it from a 360 perspective. Ask your friends, and then dive into your core values, your mission, your traits, your characteristics, your certifications and training, all of the things full circle, all of your experiences that really stand out for you. Ask yourself, what lights me up? What brings me joy? How do I want to be remembered? Because none of this means that you have to change something. It's changing the way that you live your life. All right, my friends, thank you for listening in. I hope you have a fantastic week. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you listening to the show week after week. Thank you for your comments, and I'd love to invite you to leave a review if it feels aligned for you, and also invite you to send me a personal message. Tell me what your extraordinary is. I'd like to shout it out to the world and share it with the podcast community. So thank you so much for listening. Have a fantastic day. Aloha. I have a special offering I'd like to share with you for the weekend of Mother's Day, Saturday, May 8th. So calling on all divine feminine goddesses who are looking to dive deeper into the feminine archetypes. So together from 9 to 2 Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, May 8th, we are going to explore, remember, and reveal the huntress, the mother, the wise woman, and the goddess. We're going to do this through journaling, expression, dance, movement, connection, and sharing. And then we have a special surprise guest who's going to take us through a beautiful, special movement and ceremony. So you're invited to join us. The link is going to be in the show notes. And I hope to see you there. We've got about 10 spots left remaining. So if you're interested, grab your ticket. The early bird price ends on May 1st. If you have any questions, you can send me a message or check out the link in the show notes. Hope to see you there. Hello, friends, and thank you so much for joining me today and being a part of this community. I know there are many other podcasts that you could be tuning into, and I am deeply honored that you chose to listen in and be present with me today. I love and cherish and appreciate you, and I want to invite you to join our tribe and Facebook group under jenmons.com/connect. I would also love to gift you your guide to discovering and overcoming the self-limiting beliefs standing in the way of you living in optimal health, more energy, fulfillment, and self-confidence to create an embodied, healthy, whole you. You can find this at jenmons.com/tribe. I also have one small request to help spread the love. In order for this podcast to show up in the feed of social media platforms of other like-minded people, we need reviews. So please head on over to jenmons.com/podcast to leave a review. You will also find other inspiring episodes on that page. So I personally read these reviews weekly and would love to give you a shout out and share your kind words with our listeners. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook as Jen Mons or The Holistic Coach with the W Holistic and Jen Mons, JenMons.com. Thank you so much and have an amazing day. Aloha.